Jack is the most useless guy in the world, and even God don't know why the hell he's living. He's the dude who was in the wrong place at the wrong time and got struck by lightning, which totally killed him. But instead of being pissed off, he was cool as shit about it, just like an average New Yorker. When he arrived in heaven, God said sorry for the accident. Jack was so chill that he forgave God right away. Impressed by Jack's laid-back attitude, God promised to make it up to him by sending him to a new world where he could do magic. The big guy even asked Jack if there was anything special he wanted there. Jack surprised him by asking to bring his iPhone along just like a damn millennial. God agreed and gave Jack the power to use all sorts of magic, including recharging his phone. After sealing the deal, God did some magic stuff and sent Jack off to his new world full of magic. Jack wakes up in the woods completely fucked up about where he is. He suddenly gets a call from God, who tells him about the map function on his smartphone to help him find his way in this new world. Jack thanks God and starts moving towards the nearest town. As he walks, a merchant spots him and stops his cart. Seeing Jack's weird-ass clothes, the merchant offers him a ride to town, buys all of Jack's rare clothing, and gives him some regular clothes and gold coins in return. Jack gratefully accepts and heads to town. Before leaving, he asks the merchant for directions to an inn, and the merchant recommends the Silver Moon Inn. On his way to the inn, Jack hears two women being mugged in an alley. He finds out that they were involved in a deal that went totally wrong, just like a damn drug deal gone bad. Jack approaches the muggers, buys the women's items back with a gold coin, and then uses his new badass reflexes to easily defeat the muggers, just like he's some fucking superhero. The women, who introduce themselves as Luna and Lily, are great. Jack tells them he's looking for an inn, and they mention they're heading there as well, so Jack joins them. Once at the Silver Moon Inn, Jack checks in for a month and has a quick brunch with Luna and Lily. They discuss finding work in town by solving quests for people, and Jack agrees to join them in their quest for work, cause why the hell not. The next day, Jack, Luna, and Lily head to the guild to take on some quests to earn some serious cash. When they arrive, Jack realizes he can't read the damn characters in this world, so he asks the girls to read the quests for him. They check the board and choose a quest with medium difficulty. They register as knights, get their weapons, and head to the forest to capture 51 horned wolves as mentioned in the quest. Things go pretty fucking well for the trio as they manage to capture 6 one-horned wolves. They detach the wolves' horns and bring them back to the guild for payment. The attendant verifies their kills and pays them their coins. Back at the inn, Jack asks Luna and Lily to teach him how to read and write their language, just like some blonde girl trying to figure out basic shit. Luna assigns the responsibility to Lily, and they continue their discussion. Jack also asks them to teach him how to use magic. To confirm if Jack can use magic, Lily brings out 6 different spell stones, each representing an element of magic. Normally, a person can only use up to 3 elements in their lifetime. However, Jack discovers he can use all 6 elements of magic, which is fucking insane. Luna and Lily are shocked as hell to see Jack use null magic, the rarest type of magic, to open a wormhole portal to the forest they were just in. After trying out their spells, the ladies compliment Jack on his exceptional abilities. Jack gets a bit nervous and chuckles, just like an OnlyFans star getting their first big tip. Just then, the innkeeper interrupts them and introduces Sophia, a girl who works across town and has been searching for a delicious meal to add to her shop's menu. Jack remembers ice cream from his former world. He takes out his smartphone and looks up the recipe online. He teaches Sophia and the girls how to make ice cream. After trying it, the ladies find it absolutely fucking delicious. Jack has just saved Sophia's shop by providing her with a new and exciting recipe. On their way to their next quest, Jack takes a picture of Luna on their wagon and saves it, cause he's not a total asshole. After riding a few meters forward, they decide to stop and take a break. They're on a mission to deliver a letter to the royal palace and need a place to rest for the day before continuing their journey. As they think of places to go, they hear some serious shit going down nearby and decide to check it out. When they arrive, they see a lady samurai taking down a bunch of men with incredible strength, kicking ass like a damn action movie star. Unfortunately, she stops when she becomes very hungry, leaving her vulnerable to attacks. Jack quickly steps in to save her from the men, and together with Luna and Lily, they defeat the attackers and escape to an alleyway around town. The lady introduces herself as Mia, a samurai from some fucking distant land. Jack introduces himself and asks her what got her into such trouble. She explains that she lost her travel funds on her way to the capital and has been starving for days, poor as shit. Jack and the ladies take pity on poor Mia and treat her to a hearty lunch. She eats with an incredible appetite, almost like an animal, just like your average college student. While she devours her food, Luna invites her to join them on their journey to the capital. She agrees, grateful for their kindness, cause she's not a bitch about it. After lunch, they continue their journey to the capital. Lily gives Jack a magic spell dictionary and urges him to use it to learn the different spells he'll need to become a full-fledged mage. village. Jack eagerly opens the dictionary and reads about magic spells and their uses. Lily and Luna also discuss various aspects of elemental magic with him. Jack decides to try out a useful magic spell from the book. He chants the spell and successfully summons Mia's hairband to his hand. The girls are surprised and happy that Jack is picking up magic so damn quickly. After returning Mia's headband, Jack continues studying the remaining spells in the book. Using Luna's fortification magic, Jack amplifies his sense of smell and detects the scent of blood in the area, which is fucked up. He quickly informs them, and they ride towards the source of the scent to investigate. When they arrive, they find some travelers being attacked by a wizard and his lizardmen. Jack and the group immediately spring into action and beat the shit out of all the lizardmen. Once the asshole assailant is down, they approach the wagon and discover that Lime, one of the servants, has been seriously injured by an arrow to the chest. Jack uses his magic to remove the arrow and heal Lime completely, like some kind of badass medic. Within seconds, Lime makes a full recovery. The passengers introduce themselves as Sashi, the Duke's daughter, and Lime, her servant. Almost immediately, Luna and the others bow to show their respect, as Sashi's father is the younger brother of the king of the nation, which is a big fucking deal. After expressing their gratitude, Sashi and her entourage invite Jack and the ladies to accompany them to the royal capital. Jack and his friends agree and follow Sashi and her party to the capital. A few hours later, they arrive at the royal castle. Sashi's father, Alfred, who has been anxiously awaiting his daughter's return, warmly greets Jack and the ladies and expresses his deepest gratitude for saving her, cause he's not an asshole about it. During lunch, Jack asks Alfred if he has any idea who might have been behind the attack. Alfred speculates that it was probably a wizard or bandit trying to extort money, like some two-bit criminal. Sashi soon joins them and mentions her mother. When Jack asks to meet her, Alfred hesitates and explains that Ellen, Sashi's mother, is blind. He mentions that if they could find someone who can use null magic, they might be able to restore her vision. Jack, who can use all forms of magic, offers to try using null magic to help Ellen. With the damn diary in hand, Jack meets Ellen in her chambers, accompanied by the ladies and Alfred. In front of everyone, Jack uses his null magic to restore Ellen's vision. For the first time in a long ass time, Ellen can see her loved ones again. The girls immediately fucking hug Jack. Sorry guys. The girls hug Jack, thanking him profusely for helping Ellen, just like some emotional shit you'd see on TV. To show his gratitude, Alfred gives Jack 40 platinum coins. When Jack does the conversion, he realizes that Alfred has just handed him the equivalent of 40 million yen, which is a shitload of money. Jack tries to decline the generous gift, but Alfred insists he accept it as a token of goodwill, knowing that they would need the money for their journey back to the village. Later on, as they leave town, Mia humbly asks to keep traveling with Jack and the other ladies. Jack has no choice but to accept her request for the sake of peace, cause he's not gonna be a dick about it. As they walk through the streets of the royal capital, they see a girl who looks lost, just like a blonde girl in a big city. They approach her and ask about her situation. The girl named Alma tells Jack and the others that she got separated from her elder sister. Using his smartphone, Jack locates Alma's sister and reunites them. Afterward, Jack leaves his group for a while and returns wearing a special coat with magical properties, looking cool as shit. As they get back to the inn, it begins to rain heavily. By night time, Jack watches the innkeeper and his friend play a game of shogi on the board he created for them a few days ago. Jack finds out that the girls had stepped out in the rain to help people around town, cause they're not selfish bitches. When they return, they bring presents for everyone, including the Duke. Jack is tasked with delivering a roll cake to the Duke and his family as a token of appreciation for their hospitality. He uses the gate spell to transport himself to the royal palace. There, he gives the roll cake and a shogi game to the Duke's family. Alfred sits down to study the game while his daughter Sashi watches them play. Sashi soon gets excited and tickles Jack, insisting on playing the game herself, just like an excited kid. Jack endures Sashi's playful antics until it's late in the night, cause what else is he gonna do? The next day, Jack and the girls visit the guild to see what missions are available. Jack suggests they defeat the mega slimes, but the girls object. Instead, he finds another mission and the girls agree to it, cause they're not gonna be difficult about it. They register for the mission and immediately head into the woods. In the woods, they encounter several magical creatures and work together to defeat them all, kicking ass left and right. Once they're done, they take a break before searching for the treasure. Jack uses his search spell to locate the historic relic in a creepy cave system. Lily clears a path for them into the cave, and they all enter the dark and eerie space. Lily uses her illumination spell to create light for navigating through the cave, cause nobody wants to stumble around in the dark like a damn fool. After walking a few fucking meters, they find some ancient shit written on the wall. Jack, whips out his smartphone and takes pictures of the writings. They trace the writings to an earth spell stone. Since Jack is the only dude who can use earth elemental magic, the chicks give him space to activate the mechanism. Jack uses his badass power to activate the stone, opening a door to a hidden hallway. They enter the hidden room and find a glass statue chillin' on a stone. As they examine the statue, the stone comes alive, just like a blonde girl spotting a Starbucks. Jack uses the gate spell to teleport himself and the ladies outside the cave, but the creature follows and attacks them. Together, they launch several attacks on the glass creature, but no fucking dice. Jack decides to try something different. He uses a teleportation spell to yank the creature's red orb to his hands, and then chucks it to Elise, who shatters it into pieces. This badass plan works, and the glass creature shatters. With the mission complete, they return to the royal palace to report their findings to the Duke. The Duke thanks them for their service, and gathers all the necessary intel about the monster. After their meeting, Jack takes everyone back home. At the end, Jack makes copies of the pictures he took back in the ruins, and uses the gate spell to transport himself back to Alfred's house to give him the copies. However, upon arrival, Jack finds Alfred leaving his house in a damn hurry. Alfred explains that his brother, the king of the empire, has been poisoned, and he is hauling ass to the palace to investigate and be with his brother in his final moments. Jack decides to tag along with Alfred to the palace. During the journey, Alfred spills his guts to Jack, suspecting that his brother was likely poisoned by people from the kingdom of Misme. This suspicion arises due to the intense beef between the two kingdoms, with the possibility of poisoning the king to facilitate a political marriage with his daughter, Princess Yumina. Jack takes this information seriously and decides to keep his mouth shut until he sees the situation for himself. Upon arriving at the palace, Count Balsa, a fat-ass old bastard and servant to his majesty, greets them in a shitty manner and informs them that they have caught the culprit. When questioned, Fatso reveals that the culprit is a messenger from the Misme kingdom. Alfred restrains the count from taking any action against the messenger until the king recovers. Alfred then takes Jack to the king and allows him to use his recovery null magic on the king. Jack's operation is successful, and the king quickly regains his health. The king and his family express their gratitude to Jack for his help. Even Charlotte, the king's mage, admires his abilities, but damn, Jack thinks the king got one hot-ass mage. He feels some nervousness just like an average New Yorker meeting a celebrity, but accepts the thanks. With the king back to normal, it's time to find the real culprit. They summon Alma Strand, the ambassador from the kingdom of Misme, to the palace to explain herself. Jack recognizes Strand as Alma's elder sister, and refuses to believe she could be involved. He requests access to the crime scene, where he uses his search magic to locate the poison. Jack then asks the king's subjects and Fatso to be summoned to the crime scene. Upon arrival, Jack informs them that the culprit is among them. Almost immediately, Fatso begins to sweat like a hooker in church. Jack picks up the bottle of wine and proves to everyone that the king's glass was the one laced with poison, not the wine in the bottle. Realizing he has been exposed, Fatso attempts to bail, but Jack stops him with his magic and exposes him as the true culprit. Princess Yumina becomes very hot and bothered by Jack's intelligence and can't stop staring at him after he exposes the fat bastard. Later, Jack has tea with the king and his family as they discuss matters. Unexpectedly, Yumina announces Jack as her fiancé. Jack is so surprised that he spits out his drink just like a basic bitch tasting kombucha for the first time. Yumina's parents immediately approve of their daughter's choice, though Jack tries to talk himself out of the marriage, claiming he's too young. However, the king and queen assure him they can wait until they're both of age before arranging the marriage. Jack reluctantly accepts the decision. After the meeting, Jack receives a call from the god, who congratulates him on his recent engagement. Jack responds with some muttered bullshit before ending the call. Later, Jack tells his crew about his engagement, and Yumina asks to join their group on hunting missions. Despite their initial hesitation, Jack and his team accept Yumina into their group. On their next guild mission, they take Yumina along with them. Yumina summons some wolves to search the forest for Yetis. When the Yetis appear, Jack and his team use their magic spells to kick their ass. After completing their mission, Jack praises his friends, calling them the cutest and most badass chicks he's ever seen. After their victory, Jack and his team return to town. After submitting the Yetis for assessment and receiving their cash, Jack decides to form a pact with a heavenly beast. He summons one resembling a snow tiger and demonstrates his insane magical strength. The snow tiger has no choice but to submit to Jack's call and agrees to complete the pact. It asks Jack to give it a name, and he chooses Kohaku. Now on to the next part. Kohaku asks Jack to allow him to stay near him at all times, but since Kohaku is too damn big to follow him, he transforms into a white cat. The ladies see the adorable white cat and begin playing with it just like an OnlyFans star with a ring light. On their next quest, the ladies are a bit freaked out as they have to investigate slime monsters. Legend has it that these slime monsters are known for melting women's clothing and exposing certain parts of their bodies, which attracts perverts. perverts. This seems like damn good news for Jack, so he encourages the girls to accept the mission wholeheartedly. Since they have no choice, as they journey to the location of the slime monsters, Jack and the girls encounter their first slime monster. They proceed cautiously into the building, heading to the in-house library to gather information about the slime monsters. The girls watch their steps carefully to avoid running into the slimy shit. Beast Kohaku fend off the green slimes they encounter. Despite their efforts, the odds are against the ladies, and they all end up slipping and falling into the green slime. The slime monsters manage to rip off parts of the ladies' clothing. Jack uses his gate spell to bring them back to him, but he can't help checking out their torn clothes, much to the girls' embarrassment, who punch the shit out of him for his inappropriate behavior. After cleaning themselves up, Jack and the ladies continue moving through the building to find more slime monsters. Along the way, they come across female mannequins whose melons appear to be moving, revealing that they were mimicking a woman's anatomy just like a Kardashian's Instagram post. The ladies destroy the slime monsters and continue further into the building. As they reach the slime researcher's room, they encounter more slime monsters, but these ones transform into naked females. Being a horny bastard, he is watching them, and suddenly, his rocket goes to the moon. The ladies quickly cover Jack's eyes and prepare the building for purification. By nightfall, they decide to torch the entire building to complete their mission. The next day, Jack takes Kohaku for a walk around town. They find him petting a little girl who seems to have lost her mom. Jack approaches her and uses his smartphone's map to find the girl's mother. After reuniting them, Jack explains the science, or magic, behind the search with his phone. She asks him to use it to scan the world for her brother and possibly find out what he's doing. Jack takes her to a restaurant and uses the GPS locator on his phone to find her brother. He tells her exactly what he's doing at that moment, making her happy to hear that her brother is still alive. After lunch, Jack returns to his room in the inn. He uses some magic spells on his phone and gives his camera the power to see through walls. Focusing the lens on the wall in front of him, he accidentally sees Luna in her undergarment, changing into her clothes, and only God knows what kinky shit happens after that. Just then, Lily visits him for some advice. She's been having trouble reading new magic spells from her spell scroll written in ancient magic. Jack helps her out by creating glasses that can read ancient magic spells. Lily puts the glasses on and finds out more spells she can use to beef up her water spell. She practices the spell in the forest, initially failing like a drunk sorority girl trying to walk in heels a few times. Jack helps refresh her mana and gives her enough confidence to figure out the spell by herself. After correcting her mistakes, Lily finally masters the bubble bomb water magic technique. She uses the water spell on their next mission and helps defeat the monster easily. Badass as fuck. After the mission, Luna heads into the armory to buy her gauntlet back, as she broke it in their last mission. On their way back, Jack buys Luna a nice girly dress and encourages her to put it on. Else, who initially thinks the dress wouldn't suit her, reluctantly tries it on and ends up looking smoking hot in that dress. Upon arriving home, they receive a letter from the royal palace summoning Jack to be sworn in as a knight for saving the king earlier. Jack asks if he can reject the offer, and Yumina tells him he can, but he'd have to state a reason for doing so in a public venue. Jack sighs but realizes he has no choice but to go to the palace. Humbly, Jack rejects the king's offer to become a knight, but the king still gives him a mansion as a token of gratitude for helping the royal family. Jack and the ladies go to the mansion to check it out, and upon arrival, Jack invites them to live in the mansion with him. The girls are very happy but express concern about intruding on Jack and his future wife's living space. Jack reassures them, saying he loves all four ladies equally like family, just like a player from Jersey Shore but with actual feelings. They explore the mansion's sick rooms and amenities. Later, the butler Liam's old man and a few other help arrive at the mansion to resume their responsibilities in keeping the mansion's shit together. After introducing themselves, the servants split. A few hours later, Alfred and his daughter Sashi swing by Jack's new crib. As they sit at lunch, Alfred asks Jack for a solid. He and his crew want to use Jack's gate spell to bounce to Miss Me. Since Jack can't teleport to a place he hasn't checked out before, Alfred requests that he travel there first, just like your average New Yorker asking for direction. In the next scene, Jack and his squad, along with some of Miss Me's badass warriors, journey to the royal capital of Miss Me. They assemble at the outer gate of the king's palace before embarking. To kill the damn boredom during the journey, Jack and his girls play some board games. By nightfall, they make a campfire, and Jack tells them a story. As he finishes, Alma senses some bandits preparing to ambush them and jack their stuff. Jack takes out his phone, marks all the bandits, and uses his paralysis spell to take those fuckers out. They gather the bandits and discuss what to do with. During their conversation, Jack and his girls notice some chemistry between a knight named Lion and Alma. It seems like Lion digged her but is too chicken shit to confess, just like a blonde girl at a Starbucks. Jack and the girls decide to help Lion get with Alma before they reach the capital. The next day, the group makes a pit stop at a small town. Jack, Yumina, and Alma spot Lion checking out some presents. They approach him and ask who he's buying the souvenir for. Lion bullshits, saying it's for his mother. Refusing to break character, Alma smoothly tells Lion what her sister likes and they all bounce. Before they're out of sight, they peep over at Lion and find him buying the exact same shit. Later on, Jack gets back to their wagon and senses something fucked up, almost like someone is following them. He tries using his magic to locate the presents, but the person conceals their aura like a pro. Soon after, they find Alma wearing the hair accessory that Lion bought her earlier, just like an OnlyFans star showing off her latest gift. They continue their journey to the capital and encounter something big deep in the forest. It turns out a dragon has gone rogue and is fucking up the town of ELD. Jack and his group quickly haul ass to the town to protect it from the dragon. Upon arrival, the dragon talks shit to Jack and his beast. To punish it, Jack immobilizes the dragon and cuts off its damn wings. The dragon refuses to stop and keeps spitting fire all over the place. Eventually, the other girls arrive and help Jack knock the dragon down completely, just like your average Karen getting shut down by a manager. Before they get a chance to celebrate, a red dragon who rules over the sacred land arrives to take his rogue buddy away. After discovering how badass Jack is, the red dragon bows down and apologizes his ass off for his comrade's behavior. Things return to normal, and Jack gets to rest on his fiancée Yumina's lap. Jack wakes up the next morning to find out the girls had been babying him while he was asleep. Although he's completely clueless about what the ladies are doing, Jack just stands there and watches them. A few hours later, Jack and the ladies begin rebuilding the village that the asshole dragon had destroyed the previous night. They ensure to cut off some parts of the dragon they wasted and donate them to the villagers to help get their village back up and running ASAP. The knights from Miss Me, including Leon and his homie, are blown away by Jack's willingness to help the village despite not being obligated to do jack shit. That afternoon, the village elder hooks up Jack with one of the dragon's fangs to thank him for his epic service to the village. Jack is about to turn it down, but remembers how clutch the fang would be for his weapon modifications. Jack accepts the gift and continues his journey with his crew to the kingdom of Miss Me. By nighttime, they arrive at the royal capital of Miss Me. The king receives them with open arms and props up Jack for his help in slaying the dickhead dragon and assisting one of his villages. After the necessary introductions, the king of Miss Me learns that the kingdom of Belfast, Jack's kingdom, wishes to form an alliance with the Miss Me kingdom. The king receives the rep from Belfast and proposes a throwdown between himself and the dragon slayer Jack. It turns out Miss Me's king appreciates others' strength by scrapping with them. Jack gears up to fight the king of Miss Me. When the fight begins, Jack uses his null magic slip to make the king eat shit and fall, thus ending the beatdown quickly. Clearly, the king can't accept that bullshit outcome, so he demands a rematch. This time, the fight between Jack and the king of Miss Me gets real serious, just like two New Yorkers fighting over a parking spot. At one point in the match, the king uses his null magic spell Axel, which gives him a massive speed boost to attack Jack. Jack dodges that shit and uses the same Axel spell to give himself a massive speed boost. Both parties immediately disappear as they move at light speed, their swords clashing in a blur of badass motion. Eventually, Jack overpowers the king and wins. That night, Jack and his people attend a royal banquet hosted in their honor. Jack takes out his smartphone to snap pics of the beautiful ladies in their fire attires. The king, fascinated by his cell phone, asks Jack to take his pictures as well, just like your average boomer discovering Instagram. After taking tons of photos, Toya grows tired and takes a break outside the hall. While wandering in the corridor, he finds a walking teddy bear and follows it to a sketchy room. There he finds a 6-year-old elder of the fairy folk, Lean, sitting on a chair across the room. After the necessary introduction, Lean reveals the null magic spell program she used to make the teddy move. Apparently, the program spell can be used to input commands into inanimate objects and make them follow the commands until completion. Jack's the spell right off the bat and impresses Lean. She asks him to be her apprentice, but Jack, overwhelmed, makes a run for it. That night in bed, Jack gets the idea to use the program spell in building his new weapon. The next day, he takes the dragon's fangs from the village and heads into the woods with Lily and Yumina. There he uses a modeling spell to create a gun and some bullets from the fang. He then uses the program spell to instruct the gun on how to reload automatically. His first few shots are off as fuck, so he makes a few tweaks to increase the gun's accuracy. Lily and Yumina, impressed by his creation, ask for guns as well, so Jack shows them his gun. After firing his gun, they both want to know where this badass shit came from. Jack shows them an online catalog and tells them to choose the ones they like. He further modifies his gun to be able to turn into a sword at will. Following their creative session in the woods, Jack and the ladies get back to town. They find a restaurant and prepare to eat some curry, the traditional dish of Miss Me, just like finding a good taco truck in LA. However, before they get in, Jack spots two people creeping on them. He coordinates with his beast Kohako and uses Axel to speed his ass towards the spies. On seeing him, they immediately try to bail. Jack uses Axel again to catch up to them. After knocking them the fuck out, he accidentally grabs one of his pursuer's chest and feels something bouncy, realizing they've been followed by hot chicks with very nice ass. The girl explained to Jack that they were assigned by the king to follow him. Jack understands and lets them bounce. He then returns to the restaurant and enjoys the spicy ass dish curry. The next day, Jack uses the gate spell to teleport the king of Belfast and Alfred to Miss Me's palace. In the ending scene, Lean promises to swing by Belfast soon to see her apprentice Charlotte. Now that his gig in Miss Me is done, Jack teleports himself and the girls back to his mansion in Belfast. Liam and the other servants are there to give them a warm-ass welcome. Yumina gives her servants some dope souvenirs from the Miss Me kingdom. Jack settles down on his bed for the first time in days and crashes with his beast Kohaku. He wakes up late in the evening to take a bath and then steps out to the changing room where he finds the ladies in their underwear. He gets bitched out for it, and the girls ensure Jack never does such a fucked up thing again. After taking his ass doing, Jack steps outside to continue practicing his spells. Alfred arrives shortly to check him out. He asks Jack what he's doing, and Jack tells him he's trying to make a bicycle. Clearly, Alfred hasn't seen a bicycle in his damn life, so he thanks Jack for his help with the Miss Me situation and waits for Jack to finish the bicycle. In 30 minutes, Jack finishes his first bicycle. Alfred tries to ride it for the first time and eats shit a few times. Soon the ladies notice the ruckus outside and find the Duke of the Kingdom riding a bike. They decide to join him and learn. In a few hours, the ladies turn the bike riding activity into a competition. Luna gets super competitive with the others and makes sure to ride the bike faster than her sister. They eventually catch up to the Duke and race his ass. Jack just stands there watching them until something fucked up happens. After a fun ride and falling off bikes, Alfred asks Jack to make one more bicycle. Jack gets into town to get more supplies. On his way there, he finds a young lady getting mugged in an alleyway. Naturally, Jack helps her out and knocks the crooks out with his gun. The lady thanks him for saving her ass and asks if he has some grub. It turns out she was pickpocketing from the crooks. Jack takes the girl Renee to a bench outside and buys her some snacks. Apparently, the poor girl is an orphan who has no choice but to crash in the streets, just like a broke college student. Jack asks her to come work in his mansion so she can get paid. Renee appreciates his offer and follows him back to the mansion. There, Renee changes into some maid's gear and becomes a servant of Jack. The other maids come in and take her away so she can start learning how to be a maid. Jack realizes he forgot to get the bike materials, so he heads back to town with the ladies to get the supplies. There they find Alma and join her to continue shopping. They spot Lion and Alma walking together and decide to follow and spy on them. As they watch from the corners, Jack and the ladies notice how shy as hell Lion is around Alma. The ladies ask Jack why men get so shy toward them, but Jack politely ignores their ass and continues watching over Lion and Alma. They follow the pair to a restaurant to creep on them. Jack takes out his phone and uses his X-ray camera to watch the two. Alma seems to be having a bomb-ass time as her face lights up red, just like a typical white girl trying spicy food. After their date, Alma steps out of the restaurant. Alma rushes to go meet her sister, but she runs into the king of Miss Me. The king joins the crew spying on Lion and Alma. Lion keeps hesitating to touch Alma, which pisses off the king. Soon some crooks attack the stalls nearby. Lion stands up to the crooks and calls them out. Jack and the king, fearing for Lion, put on disguises to avoid getting busted. Unfortunately for them, Lion sees through their bullshit disguises and figures out it's them. Jack gets tired of spying on them and straight up makes Lion confess his feelings for Alma right the fuck now. Alma, surprised but happy, accepts his feelings and the two share a tender moment. The ladies, Jack, and the king watch the scene unfold, satisfied with the outcome. With the romance sorted out, Jack and the group head back to finish their errands. Jack finds Lean and her apprentice Charlotte. Jack asks why they're there, and Lean explains that she wants to ask him about the red orb monster he destroyed a few weeks back. She reveals that the red orb belonged to magical beasts with see-through bodies called phrases. Jack promises to keep an eye out for one. Lean then drops the bad news she'll be staying in Belfast for a while. She asks Jack for a favor to take her to an ancient ruin in Luna's homeland. To get an idea of where the place is, Lean instructs Jack to use the recall spell to find a memory of Asuka in Luna's brain. Jack gets close to Luna and uses recall to find the streets of Asuka. After the ritual, Lean asks him to open a gate to that place. Jack opens a gate and teleports Lean and the girls to the ruins in Asuka. Just like using Uber but with with magic. After teleporting himself and the ladies to Asuka, Jack leads everyone to Mia's hometown. As they walk through the depressing town, Mia explains her land's culture to her listeners. Luna and Lily find out that life is pretty different in Asuka compared to Belfast. Later on, Mia leads her crew to her father's house in town. Upon arriving, she notices the worried-out look on her mother's face and asks about her father's whereabouts. Mia's mother tells her that her father, brother, and the rest of the able-bodied men in the town left a few days ago to fight the Tita clan's army. Mia becomes worried as shit and asks her mother about the war. Unfortunately, things are not going well for Mia's men as the Tita army is strong as hell. Jack and his crew decide to help the Aidens take on the clan. Using his gate spell, Jack transports himself and the girls to a forest near the Edian stronghold. Mia gets jittery and wants to see her brother, but Jack senses danger and heads to the fortress first. When they arrive, Adem, Mia's brother, and some soldiers confront Jack, demanding to know who the hell he is. Jack says he's a friend of Mia and teleports the others inside the fortress. Mia joyfully reunites with her brother, who thanks Jack and assures Mia that their dad is safe and guarding the king. Jack uses his light magic to heal the injured Edian soldiers, just like a magical paramedic. He then asks Adem about the Teta army surrounding the fortress. Adem reveals that the Teta troops have turned into zombies and can only be defeated by breaking the Oni masks on their faces. Jack quickly uses his light spell Shining Javelin to wipe out the Teta zombies in front of the fortress. The Edens celebrate their victory and hail Jack as their hero. Yasu, the leader of the Tokugawa clan, shows up to personally thank Jack and his group for taking down the zombie army. He shares some news. Shingen, the real leader of the Teta clan, is dead as fuck, and the zombie army was controlled by Shingen's dark magic assholes. They're still checking out the details but are on the case, just like CSI, but with more magic and less Miami. Suddenly Tsubaki, a badass warrior under General Kusaka of the damn Tata clan, rolls up with a secret letter. The letter basically requests the Yaesu crew to help rescue the other 3 Tata generals stuck in enemy territory. Jack plans a sneaky-ass stealth mission to sneak into the enemy base before launching an attack. He asks Lean, a fairy chick, to make them invisible temporarily to avoid detection. Jack picks his squad and rides Tsubaki's mind to understand the location better. That night, Jack teleports close to Tata territory. Once Lean makes them invisible, he tries to teleport into the enemy base, but hits a fucking barrier. Lean, being playful as hell, messes with Tsubaki, who accuses Jack, causing some awkward shit. Ignoring the bullshit, Jack leads his team into the Tata dungeon, frees the captured generals, and destroys the barrier talismans. He then kicks the ass of the Oni mask soldiers and teleports everyone to confront the dark strategists. The strategist revives their fallen buddy Oka against them, but Jack quickly handles his ass. The strategist reveals a red orb in his eye and talks shit about his power. Jack uses a spell to snatch and destroy the orb, causing the strategist to turn to dust and bite the dust. The next day, Baba tells Jack that the Nania ruins are underwater. He remembers an island near the ruins. Jack uses a spell to extract the island's location from Baba's memory and teleports himself and his team to the nearest beach by the ruin. Upon arrival at the beach, Jack and the ladies rush to enjoy the cool-ass water. However, since they don't have swimsuits, they ask Jack to take them back to Belfast to get some. Jack says fuck it and teleports them back to Belfast where they gather their swimsuits. They return to the beach with the Duke, the King, and some other servants, all eager to take a break from their heavy-ass duties. Jack creates some tents for the ladies to change into their swimsuits. Once everyone is dressed, they head back to the beach to join the others. The ladies seek Jack's validation over their swimsuit choices, leading to a few hilarious and slightly embarrassing moments for him, just like an average teenage guy. Afterward, the ladies go for a swim in the ocean. With so many hot-ass women around, Jack can't help but notice the damn appealing sight of the ladies enjoying themselves. Soon Sashi and Alma join the other ladies in the water to play some beach ball. Jack gets so fucking fixated on watching his girls in the water that he doesn't notice Sasel behind him. When he looks back, his gaze inadvertently drops to her chest. Realizing his screw-up, he quickly composes himself and allows Sasel to join the others in the water. Suddenly, he hears men yelling nearby and traces the sound to find the king and his brother having a race. After watching them for a while, Jack returns to his tent to chill. Yumina approaches him in her swimsuit, asking him to join her in the ocean, just like a blonde girl trying to get attention. However, Jack, feeling the urgency of their mission, declines, expressing his preference to search for the ruins. Yumina understands and bounces. Shortly after, Lean meets with Jack and teases him playfully as hell. Once she finishes her fun, she reminds Jack that they need to investigate the ruins. Since Lean cannot swim, Jack decides to explore the ruins himself. Jack dives into the ocean but soon realizes he can't hold his breath long enough. Thankfully, Kohaku, his beast, saves him before he drowns. After regaining consciousness, Jack and Lean consult Charlotte about about a spell that could enable someone to breathe underwater, but Charlotte doesn't recall any such damn spell. Suddenly, Kohaku remembers the beasts of the Black Monarch. Jack and Kohaku decide to summon the beasts to aid in their quest. They cast a summoning spell into the ground and successfully bring forth the badass beasts of the Black Monarch into their world. When the beasts of the Black Monarch arrive, they recognize their old buddy Kohaku and ask about his master. Upon learning that Jack is Kohaku's master, they challenge him to a fight to prove his strength. If Jack wins, they agree to form a pact with him. Jack takes out his gun and cleverly programs one of the bullets with an infinitely activating slip spell. As a result, the Black Monarch beasts keep tripping and falling until they give up. Meanwhile, the ladies are playing volleyball a few yards away from Jack. During a particularly intense play, Lily's chest cloth comes off, and even I don't see what's behind her clothes. She quickly puts it back on before Jack notices, just like an OnlyFans star having a wardrobe malfunction. After a few hours, the Black Monarch beasts grow tired and surrender to Jack. They agree to his request, shrink their size, and activate a water protection spell on their new master. Jack is enveloped in a protective bubble and heads towards the ocean. On his way to the ocean, the four ladies line up and ask Jack to choose his favorite among them. Flustered as hell, Jack picks Sashi, disappointing the other girls. Nevertheless, they accept his choice and join him to play. By evening, Jack reaches the ocean floor and walks under the water as if on land. He enters the ruins and activates a magic circle inside, triggering a teleportation system that takes him to a floating island. Upon arrival, a humanoid machine named Francesca approaches him. Noticing that she isn't wearing anything below her waist, Jack is taken the fuck back. Francesca introduces herself and welcomes him to the 50,000-year-old aerial garden. Jack, curious and somewhat embarrassed, asks why she isn't wearing anything under her waist. "And I know you all perverts want to see what's down there, but I will not show that shit." Francesca nonchalantly explains that it's how she was programmed by her master. Jack asks Francesca if she could put something on, and she takes out a skirt and puts it on. He then inquires about the entire place. Francesca explains that the floating island is called the Garden of Babylon and was built by a professor several thousand years ago. She mentions that she's an android built to take care of the garden in her master's absence. During the explanation, Francesca becomes quite forward as hell and keeps suggesting Jack touch her inappropriately, which he absolutely refuses. Jack introduces himself, and Francesca tells him that the island was created 5,000 years ago by Professor Babylon, a powerful mage capable of using all elemental magic. Professor put Francesca in charge of the garden's maintenance until a visitor came by to claim ownership of the garden. Since Jack is the only visitor the garden has received in the last 5,000 years, Francesca is ready to hand over ownership to him. She explains that her willingness to hand over the garden is because Jack did not give in to his lusts. If he had, she would have rejected him as a potential new master. "So guys, you and I will never become her master." Jack, sweating his ass off and bewildered, wonders who could have created such a weird-ass android like Francesca. Cecile and the other ladies enjoy their time on the beach, searching for crabs and other small crustaceans. They grow worried about Jack, wondering if he's alright. Just then, Jack appears and uses his gate spell to bring them all to the Garden of Babylon. Once inside the floating island, Francesca informs the girls that the ownership of the floating island has now been transferred to her loving master and husband Jack. This declaration shocks the hell out of the four girls, who immediately demand an explanation from Jack. To make matters worse, Francesca mentions that she showed her underwear to Jack, causing further embarrassment. Lily, the shy one, sits Jack down and starts grilling him. Lean steps in to defend Jack, explaining to Lily that Jack might not be aware of how the ladies feel about him and is not obligated to stick to any of them. Lily understands and stops pressing Jack, just like an average New Yorker backing down from a fight. Later, the four girls Maya, Linz, Luna, and Yumina walk through a section of the garden. Yumina stops them and reminds them of a discussion they had back in the mansion. Yumina reveals that she knows the other three ladies are in love with Jack and proposes that all four of them confess their feelings to Jack and marry him together. The ladies get flustered as hell, their faces red with embarrassment and blushes. Yumina insists that now is the time to confess their feelings to Jack and ask for his hand in marriage. Encouraged by Yumina's determination, the three ladies Mia, Lily, and Luna decide to follow through with the plan. They make up their minds to confess their love to Jack and continue walking. In the meantime, Jack and Lean enjoy their time in the garden together. Francesca tells them about the remaining floating islands the professor created during her leisure time. Lean shows interest in the floating library and wishes to learn about the professor's secrets. Later the other ladies join them and listen to Francesca talk about the islands. Lean asks Francesca if she can establish a connection with her other sisters, but Francesca explains that her connections with the other islands have been severed. The only way to find the other Babylons is to locate their teleportation circles. Francesca decides to leave the garden and follow her new master Jack. Jack worries about her leaving the garden, but Francesca reassures him that they'll be able to control the garden once he finishes his registration. When Jack asks how they'll complete it, Francesca fucking kisses him in front of everyone to get his saliva and record it as his genetic information. Once Francesca finishes the registration, Lily summons the courage to confess her feelings to Jack and plants a kiss on his lips. With Lily's confession complete, only Luna and Mia remain to confess their feelings to Jack. After exploring the rest of the garden, Francesca follows Jack and the remaining ladies back home. She joins the servants, dresses up like them, and begins her training to be a maid. Jack gets to his room to think a little about what happened between him and Lily back in the garden before he falls asleep. Yumina visits him to talk, and Jack lets her into his room, asking what she was there for. Yumina immediately flares up, letting Jack know she's pissed at him for kissing Francesca and Lily so easily. She's jealous as hell because Jack hasn't kissed her before. Jack is surprised that she isn't affected by Lily's confession. Yumina tells him she was the one who actually encouraged Lily to confess her feelings to him. The only reason she's angry is because he hasn't kissed her. To make it up to her, Jack brings her close and plants a soft-ass kiss on Yumina's lips. After the kiss, she asks him what he thinks of Lily. Jack says that although he may not love Lily yet, he still likes and cherishes her. Almost immediately, Lily materializes in the room, revealing that she had been invisible and was watching over them this whole damn time. Jack gets to her and properly confesses his feelings for her. Lily thanks him for being honest and hugs him. Yumina also gets close and hugs her husband-to-be. Before they leave, they ask Jack to kiss them. Jack kisses their foreheads and then goes to sleep. The next day, Luna wakes Jack up and takes him to the yard outside to face her and Mia. Jack asks the ladies what they're after. Luna and Mia both order Jack to fight them right fucking there. If they win, Jack would have to listen to their requests. However, if he wins, they'd back down and never talk about their feelings for him. They also ban Jack from using any magical spells. Before beginning the fight, Jack gets the upper hand in the first part of the fight, but the ladies manage to corner and knock his ass out. When he wakes up, Luna and Mia both confess their feelings to Jack. Yumina and Lily join them in the yard and ask Jack to make his decision. Jack begs them for more time and heads back to the floating garden to think. Francesca joins him and has a discussion with him. She mentions that she has a message from the professor for him. Jack asks her to show him the message, and she brings out a USB cord from her arms. Jack plugs the cord into his phone and activates the message. A hologram of a very hot professor appears on Jack's phone, making his rocket launch again. She tells him about her power to see several thousand years into the future. In one of her visions, she discovered the phrase dragons who are hellbent on ridding the world of all living things. When Jack asks where they are now, the professor tells him that the phrases suddenly disappeared. Jack then asks if she knows about his future with the 4 girls. The professor refuses to tell him, instead leaving him to fantasize about what may happen, and ends the message. After receiving the message, Jack teleports himself to the heavens to meet the god. The god is more than happy to see his creation again. Jack asks for some advice on his issue with the ladies. The god summons the Queen of Love in the heavens to give Jack the best advice she can. After hearing the matter, the Queen of Love tells him to get a little selfish and asks the 4 of them to give him time to develop and mature into a man they'll all love and cherish. I mean, guys, they're still 16 at best. When I was their age, I was still solving math problems. Tell me in the comments what you're doing right now. Jack gets back to his mansion and tells the ladies to give him time to mature into a real man before getting married. The ladies all agree to wait for Jack, and to end their meeting, Jack kisses all their foreheads before leaving them. Luna goes first, but ends up punching him in the stomach outside the building. Lean and a few other servants share a good-ass laugh over what's happening inside the room. Jack takes his ladies to their next quest, this time to defeat the mithril golems and take their control orbs back to the guild. He tries to slash them with her sword, but her sword breaks. Jack figures out how strong as hell they are, so he teleports them up into the sky and lets them free fall to the ground. This plan works as the golems' bodies crack and become more vulnerable. With that, Jack and the ladies direct the strongest magic attacks in their arsenal and eventually take down the mithril golems. After retrieving the golem orbs, Jack teleports his girls back home. Ren, the orphan Jack saved earlier, warmly greets Jack and his girls. She notices someone absent and asks Jack where Francesca was. Jack suddenly remembers he left her in the garden and goes back to retrieve her. Once they're back, Francesca serves Jack and Lean some tea. Jack apologizes and wishes to make it up to her. Francesca tells him to get her some sultry underwear so she'll forget about his sins. Turns out she was just fucking around, and Francisca leaves shortly, allowing allowing Jack to discuss with Lean. Lean tells Jack she plans on getting to the other floating islands Professor Babylon built. Jack, who already gave up on finding them, promises to help out. Just then he receives a damn phone call from the Maker. Jack teleports himself to the heavens. The Maker called him to ask for a fucking status update on his life. Jack tells the Maker that shit is going just fine and even better than his old-ass life. The Queen of Love stops by and teases him about his recent engagement to his 4 bitches, just like an average New Yorker with multiple girlfriends. As the ladies take a bath in the mansion, Yumina and the girls admire the engagement rings Jack bought and gave to each of them. They express their damn gratitude to Jack for infusing some helpful magic spells into the rings so the girls don't run into shit. Blushing over the rings, Yumina expresses her worries. She fears that given Jack's good nature, some other bitch might take advantage of him and cause him to turn bad. They all promise each other to support Jack in any fucking way they can. In the next scene, Mia and Jack venture into town to procure some supplies. As they browse the shops, Mia becomes nervous and asks Jack to hold hands with her while walking, just like a blonde girl on her first date. Jack agrees to her request and holds her hand as they continue their shopping. Later in the day, Yumina and Jack visit the king in his palace to announce their engagement. The King of Belfast expresses his damn joy and eagerly anticipates having grandchildren. However, the Queen advises Jack to be prepared to face opposition from those assholes who may not hold him in high regard, urging him to be ready to defend Yumina when necessary. Yumina's younger sister also joins the discussion to greet her elder sister. Upon their return home, Jack inquires if there's a possibility of him becoming king once they are married, but Yumina reassures him not to worry about such shit for now. Instead, Jack focuses on achieving success to earn the respect of others. He decides to build a men's and women's hot spring at the local end to attract more customers, just like a smart businessman from Manhattan. To test out the hot springs, Jack invites his family members and some elderly individuals to try them. As the ladies and men enjoy themselves in their respective sections, Yumina and the girls engage in a conversation about the moments they realized they were in fucking love with Jack. With blushes and embarrassment, they share their experiences, concluding that Jack is the damn man of their dreams as they laugh over their feelings. Francesca, who is taking a bath outside, starts climbing the fence to get to Jack's side. However, she gets shocked by the paralysis spell on top of the fence, causing her to fall back into the women's section, just like a drunk college girl trying to climb a fraternity house fence. Meanwhile, Lily barges into the men's side of the hot springs to inform Jack that she has found the location of the next Babylon floating island. Jack and the ladies head east of Miss Mead to the Rami Desert to locate the ruins of the second floating island of Babylon. While Jack seems indifferent about finding the island and wishes to return home soon, he acknowledges that they may need the power of the second Babylon if the damn phrase monsters were to return to Earth in his era. As they peer towards the desert, they spot a UFO attacking some people on the sand. Jack and the others quickly halt their journey to assist them. They confront the UFO and provide enough time for the people on the ground to escape, but their magic attacks seem fucking ineffective against the powerful object. Just then, Jack's old friend Ende makes a rather surprising appearance. After the necessary greetings and exchanges, he gets on the UFO and destroys it, just like an action hero from Hollywood. Jack is surprised and asks him how he managed to destroy such a thing. Ende tells him that he simply hit it with a magic frequency similar to its own and explains further that the UFO probably slipped into Jack's world from another dimension, and that the multi-dimensional net keeping the world separate was starting to weaken. After finishing his explanation, Ende takes his leave. Shortly thereafter, Jack and his ladies serve the adventurers some water to quench their damn thirst. Their leader, Rebecca, explains that she and her partner rescued some girls from their slave masters and were seeking to take them to greener pastures. Jack asks them where they wish to go. Rebecca tells him they first need to remove the enslavement collars on the girls' necks so they can truly be free. Jack smiles and uses the apport spell to remove the collars from the slave girls. Yumina steps in and tells the girls to follow them to Belfast to make a living. Everyone agrees, so Jack teleports them to Belfast. Upon returning home, Lean asks Jack about Ende. It turns out Jack found Ende when he was out buying the engagement rings. He had helped Ende pay for his shit as he couldn't pay with an old coin he had. Lean becomes suspicious of him and tells Jack to be very damn careful about him. The girls ask Jack for an explanation about the thing they attacked earlier. Jack tells them about the phrase and their history with Earth. He also explains that it's possible the fucking UFO they fought earlier that day was from another world. Jack then asks Francesca if there was anything the professor built to fight the phrase monsters. Francesca tells him there are such things, but they're only stored in the next Babylon. Excited, Jack immediately teleports himself and the ladies to the Rami Desert. Lean uses magic to expose the invisible barrier around the ruin and allows Jack to enter first. Inside, Jack reaches the magic magic circle and activates the teleportation mechanism. He is then transported to the next floating Babylon island, the Workshop Island, where he meets with the guardian Rosetta. Rosetta stops him in his tracks and asks for some form of verification before he's allowed to take over the Workshop Island. Jack informs her that he's already taken over the Garden Island owned by Francesca. Rosetta smiles and tells him things will be much damn easier since he's already experienced. Jack asks for his test, and Rosetta tells him to guess the colors of her undies without moving from where he is, just like a perverted game show host. Using his long sense spell to shift his vision under her skirt, Jack finds out she wasn't wearing shit under and tells it to her. Rosetta confirms his answer and appoints him as the new master of the Workshop Island. She kisses him just like Francesca did and completes his registration, just like an OnlyFans star sealing a deal. After the process, Jack checks out the workshop and discovers various interesting shit about this island. Rosetta shows him a white room that allows any engineer to manufacture anything he chooses with just a few taps. To test it out, Jack asks Rosetta to copy his gun and reproduce it using mithril material. Rosetta accomplishes this and creates a similar gun with the copy technique. Jack then asks her if she could create equipment called the frame gears, but Rosetta says she can't since she doesn't have the damn blueprints. Next, Jack uses Gate to bring the others to the Workshop Island. He asks Francesca and Rosetta if they could merge both islands together. They agree and begin heading towards Belfast. Upon getting back to the mansion, Jack tells Rebecca they can stay until they find jobs for themselves in town. Rebecca and her partner thank Jack for his kindness. A few days later, Jack visits Rebecca and the girls in their new workplace. He has just finished building his library in town, so he allows them to work in the cafe. Everyone warmly greets him and welcomes him to have a drink. Jack reflects on the success of his bicycle business, which he mass-produced using the workshop in Rosetta's Island and sold at a higher price, just like a smart entrepreneur from Silicon Valley. One of the freed slaves complains to Jack about not having any magic aptitudes even though his grandpa could use null magic. Jack encourages the young man to keep trying, assuring him that his magic aptitudes will appear in due damn time. After his visit to the library, Jack heads to the guild with Yumina to register for any available quests. The attendant recognizes him and asks for help with a book about the Order of the Rose from his library. On their way back, Yumina explains all she can about the Order of the Rose and its author, Princess Reincarnated, who is also her close friend. After hearing about the author, Jack decides to first exterminate the bloody crab in the desert before getting the book. He swiftly finishes off the crab in the forest and carries it back to the guild for their rewards. Yumina's guild rank gets upgraded, putting her on the same level as Jack. After receiving his reward, Jack asks the guild attendant to list all the books she and her colleagues would be interested in reading with a bill on him. The lady writes down over 20 books on a piece of paper and gives it to Jack, who then goes to a bookshop to purchase them. Although it takes a few damn hours to find all the books from the huge catalog, Jack manages to locate them all. Just as he's about to pay and leave for his own library, he hears a customer throwing a tantrum over the famous book Rose May being out of stock. The customer finds out Jack bought the last copy and asks him to please let her buy it from him. When Jack refuses, she proposes a deal. If he gives her the Rose May, she'll give him an autograph. Jack initially thinks she's just another nobody trying to trick him. However, after sounding her out, he realizes she's actually Princess Reincarnated, the real author. Despite being disgusted by her bitchy behavior, he tells her about Yumina. Upon discovering that Jack is Yumina's fiancé, Riri quiets down. Jack heads over to the workshop, prints another copy of Rose May and gives it to Riri. He then takes the original books to his library. The librarians are very happy for the help as they pick up their books and leave. Jack then turns to the young boy who had been complaining earlier and asks him what the fuck he wants. The boy expresses his desire to become very strong so he can protect someone dear to him. As he talks, he makes eye contact with one of the freed slave girls working at the receptionist desk. Jack notices some chemistry between them and realizes she's the one the boy wants to protect, just like a romantic movie plot. He takes the boy to the palace and asks the head of the knights to train him. Jack meets with Lily and takes her to the Silver Moon Hot Springs to relax. The owners of the inn thank him greatly for helping them out with the hot springs. After a hot damp bath, Jack buys Lily a nice dress. She looks absolutely radiant in it, although she gets very nervous and trips. Jack catches her and tells her how beautiful she looks. The day ends on a good note. A few days later, Riri releases her next series. Jack checks out the first volume and finds the story is somehow similar to his own life, which understandably pisses him the off. He promises to deal with her ass the next time he meets her. In the next scene, Jack finds Lily reading again and advises her to take breaks to avoid overeating. Lily thanks her fiancé for his kind words and gives him the list of books the library needs. Jack takes the list and heads to the Empire to get the book. books. Upon arriving at the Empire, Jack finds it in fucking ruins and races toward the palace to figure out what has gone wrong. On his way, he sees the army attacking a local policeman and quickly rescues him. Learning that the army general may be staging a coup, Jack hurries to the palace and hears a lady screaming nearby. He locates the sound and rushes to save the Emperor's daughter Lucia from certain death. Lucia falls in love with him immediately after seeing his beautiful eyes, just like a blonde girl falling for a bad boy. Soon after, her guard Carol arrives and thanks Jack for saving her. Jack explains that he used teleportation magic to come to the Empire to buy shit for his shop. Hearing this, Carol begs him to teleport them to the Emperor's bedchamber to check on him. When they arrive, they find the army general Bazar standing over the unconscious body of the Emperor. Jack introduces himself and demands an explanation from Bazar, who claims the Emperor fell dangerously ill and couldn't be allowed to rule anymore. Knowing this is bullshit, Jack presses for the truth. Bazar reveals his plan to wage war against the three allied nations, Ramish, Belfast, and Mistmead. Jack dares him to try, knowing the power of the three nations. However, Bazar has an ace up his sleeve. He uses his magic to summon a devilish beast he has made a pact with for the past 20 years, revealing the source of his power. Bazar is wearing two bracelets, one that repels magic attacks and another that repels physical attacks. The beast can also nullify magic attacks, making it a damn formidable opponent. Realizing this isn't a fight he can rush into, Jack retreats and teleports himself, the Emperor, Lucia, and Carol back to his mansion in Belfast. Jack explains his ordeal at the Empire to his fiancés, who all wonder how they could face such a strong asshole. Jack reassures them not to worry as he has a plan to take down General Bazar. After their short meeting, Jack introduces Lucia to his fiancés. When Yumina introduces herself as Jack's fiancée, Lucia frowns and Yumina catches her reaction, leading to a challenge between them when Jack is gone, just like two girls fighting over the same guy at a bar. Jack requests a meeting with the King of Belfast and explains the situation in the Empire to him. Before they discuss anything serious, the king jokes about appointing Jack as the next in line to the throne, causing Jack to nearly panic since he never wants to be fucking king. After hearing Jack's plan to defeat Bazar, the king gives him the go-ahead. Jack then heads to the workshop to talk to Rosetta about Bazar's weapon. Rosetta tells him she remembers having such items as artifacts in the workshop, but they probably fell or got lost somewhere along the way. Jack returns to his mansion and finds that the Emperor is awake. Everyone gathers around the Emperor to discuss defeating the general. During the discussion, Lucia asks Jack to help her find her brother using his magic spells. Jack uses recall on Lucia and gets a picture of her brother. After obtaining an image of her brother, Jack recognizes him and traces him using his smartphone. The Emperor recalls that area as General Romeo's mansion. Thankfully, the Imperial Prince is safe, and Jack moves on to the next mission at hand. He assures the Emperor that defeating Bazar will be handled by him and his fiancés. The next day, Jack summons his beasts and takes them to the Empire to fight the general. While the ladies and the beasts take care of the guards, Jack faces Bazar's magic devilish beast. He surprises everyone by using the spell Axel Gravity, which makes things heavier to immobilize Bazar's beast, the Demon Lord. He then traps Bazar in a tempered glass cell filled with rotting slime, causing him to suffocate and pass out, just like a mob boss getting his comeuppance. Jack has just defeated the general in the most badass way possible. The Empire is restored to its former glory, and the Imperial Prince is reunited with his family. Jack returns to his babes, and Lucia joins them, discovering how damn fun it is to be one of Jack's chicks. The Emperor invites Jack for lunch one day to formally express his gratitude for taking down that asshole Bazar. To thank him, he decides to hook up Lucia to Jack. Jack frowns as he thinks of a way to reject this bullshit engagement. However, Yumina speaks for him and accepts the proposal on his behalf, just like an average New Yorker butting into everyone's business. Jack is left with no choice but to accept his new fiancée into his household. Poor bastard Jack is not too joyous as he now has many fiancées to manage. Meanwhile, the other ladies rejoice over having another woman join them. Jack does some real talk with the guys who tell him about the portions of land the Emperor is gifting his ass. The plan is to give Jack some land and name him the ruler of a new kingdom. This way Jack will have serious clout and will be seen as worthy enough to marry Yumina and the others. Jack accepts the offer to become a monarch and returns to his mansion. His babes express their joy over their husband's new achievement and ask him what name he plans on giving his new kingdom. Jack names his new kingdom Brunhild, and the ladies dig it. Jack then wonders whether it would be a smart move to teleport the entire mansion to the new kingdom with his new status as a monarch. Jack prepares to move his household and continue his adventures from his new home base, the kingdom of Brunhild. The girls suggest leaving the mansion in Belfast as their backup spot, so Jack decides to build a new castle on the land they received for his new kingdom. As they discuss the plans, Lucia arrives in her new dress and joins the family meeting. She proposes building a castle on the land to cement Jack's rep as a true ruler. Everyone agrees, ladies, and they head to the workshop island of Babylon to work with Rosetta on constructing the new castle. Just like a bunch of reality TV stars planning their dream house, Rosetta explains the massive list of materials they would need to build a brand new castle, which quickly burns Jack out. Remembering an abandoned castle in a ruined kingdom, they decide to raid that shit for supplies. Within a few days, Jack uses the stolen goods and some modeling magic to build the castle. When Jack and his fiancées visit the castle for the first time, Lean joins them and makes herself at home. Soon the servants arrive and set up their workstations in the new castle. To facilitate easy transportation, Jack builds a teleportation portal between his new castle and the mansion in Belfast. He and Renette test the portal and find it working like a damn charm. Upon returning to the mansion, Jack discovers that he has been summoned to the king's palace. At the palace, Jack meets with Rick Refrey, the ruler of Refrey, who has heard about Jack's new kingdom and wants to check out his new castle along with the king of Belfast. Jack takes them to his new castle and allows them to explore freely while thinking about indoor recreational activities to add to the castle. Jack worries that his fiancées might wreck all that shit in their excitement, just like drunk sorority girls at a house party. Nevertheless, he decides to create various recreational facilities, including a spa for everyone to chill out and enjoy. Later in the day, Tsubaki visits Jack and asks to serve under his leadership. Jack inquires about the Takeda clan, and Tsubaki explains that they have already split up. She narrates that the new lord screwed over the populace, leading to their lands being taken away by powerful nation. With no turf to their name, Tsubaki thought she could bring her remaining people to live in Jack's new kingdom. Jack agrees to this and welcomes them into his kingdom. Jack meets with the people who thank him big time for letting them stay in his kingdom. He also meets with Master Kusaka and discusses the development of the nation with him. With that, Kusaka becomes Brunhild's urban planner. In a few scenes, Brunhild evolves from just a castle to a kick-ass town with houses for its new citizens. Jack's magic speeds up the construction process, allowing him to build structures in minutes. Lucia has a tough time adjusting to her new life as Jack's betrothed. She expresses her concerns to the other ladies, who reassure her that she'll soon get the hang of it. Lucia packs lunch for her husband and meets him in town. Jack gratefully accepts the lunch and eats it like he's been starving for days. Soon he invites monarchs from other kingdoms to enjoy his new castle. Everyone has a awesome day eating, drinking, and playing games. By nightfall, Jack takes everyone outside to see the fireworks. The monarchs are very surprised and impressed by Jack's knowledge of such things. Jack walks over to Lucia and gives her an engagement ring. Lucia's face lights up like a Christmas tree as Jack puts the ring on her finger and holds her hand. Following the festivities, Jack and his girls embark on a journey to find what seems to be the next ruin of Babylon. Upon arriving at the ruins, Jack and his companions discover a weird-ass structure with a hole in its head. Jack enters the hole and finds himself inside the ruins where he spots a magic circle. Activating the circle, he teleports to the Alchemy ward of Babylon led by Flora. Flora, a robot with a notably huge rack, immediately catches Jack's attention, just like every dude at Hooters. He informs her that he's already taken over the workshop in Garden Islands and is now here to take over the Alchemy ward. Flora is stoked and tells Jack that she needs to test his validity to rule. To do this, Flora holds Jack's hand and places it on her chest, then kisses him to complete the registration. This act officially transfers ownership of the Alchemy ward to Jack. He proceeds to explore the facility with Flora, explaining that the Alchemy ward combines magic with physical matter to create chimeras and other creatures. She shows him various equipment and liquids used in the Alchemy ward. When Jack has seen enough, he brings his fiancées to the facility. Lily and Luna are particularly bummed out by Flora's massive tits, feeling self-conscious about their own sizes in comparison. Flora, not missing a beat, tells the girls that she kissed and groped Jack before they arrived, making the ladies jealous as hell and leaving them to give Jack shit. After claiming the Alchemy ward, Jack returns to his kingdom and continues learning a new spell called Fly, which allows the caster to float and move through the sky like a bird. Jack nails it on his first try and adds some unique twists to the spell. During his training, he uses a levitation spell on Lily, successfully taking her up to the highest floor of his castle. He then uses the Fly spell to soar around his small kingdom, much to the delight of his citizens who cheer him on from below. Jack waves back at them as he flies. Just then, Jack receives a call from the Queen of Love, congratulating him on his new status and level. After the call, Jack visits Yumina's parents to inform them of his engagement to her. Surprisingly, Yumina's father grants his approval without any bullshit restrictions. Next, Jack visits Lily and Luna's uncle, who also supports his marriage with his nieces. Following these meetings, Jack talks with one of the youngsters in the household who asks if he could kick a Thunderbear's ass. Jack inquires about the Thunderbear, and Lily explains that these creatures have been terrorizing the shit out of the villagers. Determined to help, Jack heads to the forest and defeats all the Thunder Bears he can find. After defeating the Thunder Bears, Jack heads to the library where he encounters Ende once again. Jack seizes the opportunity to sit Ende down and ask for more information about the phrase. Ende explains that these otherworldly bastards are sent to their world to locate the king's core, which emits an infrasonic sound that draws them closer. This sound, however, is drowned out by Yumina's heartbeat, forcing the phrase to kill Yumina to reduce the noise. Ende also reveals that he's searching for the phrase to destroy their source before more advanced ones arrive. Shortly after sharing this information, Ende takes his leave. Determined to prepare for the potential threat, Jack visits the workshop and inquires if Rosetta can mass-produce frame gears. Rosetta informs him that currently it isn't doable due to the extensive materials required. Their immediate goal is to gather all the necessary materials they can find. Jack returns to his mansion to consult with his summoned beasts about finding these materials. They suggest forming a pact with the Flame Emperor who could help them score the needed resources. Following their advice, Jack heads to his yard and, with the help of his other beasts, summons the Flame Emperor. Upon her arrival, Jack asks to form a pact with her. She agrees immediately, and Jack names her Kayako. Kayako then transforms into a small bird and perches on his shoulder. She sends a message to all the birds in the area to search for other Babylon ruins and report back once they find one. The next morning, Jack wakes up to find Yumina sleeping beside him. Comment, guys, what do you think happened last night? Just like an OnlyFans star teasing her subscribers. He greets her and suddenly recalls that she wasn't there the previous night. Curious, he asks Yumina what she was doing in his bed. Yumina explains that she wanted to spend some time close to her fiancé since he has been crazy busy with the responsibilities of building a nation. Jack falls off the bed because he's so damn tired that he didn't notice Yumina come to bed. Yumina touches his cheeks and leaves the room to change. Later that morning, Jack goes to his yard to get away from the girls. A flying creature called the Flame Beast tells him about reports from a scouting bird that found a place like the ruins of Babylon. Jack gathers his girls and talks about their trip to this new place. They all wonder what they'll find on the way to Babylon. As they travel, they encounter a rhinoceros monster. The girls quickly kick its ass, while Jack watches. A bit later, they reach the Babylon ruins. Jack finds a magic circle and teleports himself to a floating island. There he meets the island's administrator, Monica, and introduces himself. Monica tries to attack him, but Jack dodges her and uses a spell to make her eat shit. Monica challenges Jack to a fight to prove his strength, but he keeps making her fall until she gives up like a little bit. Monica makes Jack the new leader of the Babylon place. Pumped up, Jack asks to explore more, and Monica shows him the world's first frame gear. Jack is thrilled and gets ready to ride it. However, Monica bursts Jack's bubble and tells him the damn thing doesn't work. As Jack wallows in despair, just like a blonde girl who broke a nail, Monica suggests Flora from the Alchemy ward could help them out. Jack returns to the mansion and finds out they need a shit ton of spellstones to make the frame gears work. He uses his phone to locate spellstones all around them and mines the hell out of them. Soon they activate the frame gears and get ready to pilot them. Before getting inside a real one, Rosetta builds a frame gear simulator for Jack to ride in and practice first. Jack thanks her for the thought and gets into the simulator. He quickly learns how to use the frame gear in a few minutes and even fights another one like a boss. Jack returns to the mansion and makes copies of the simulator for his wives to enjoy, while he happily thinks of the badass things he'll be able to do with the frame gears. Sushi runs into him and begs him to marry her. Jack is surprised at this sudden-ass decision and asks for the real reason why she wants to marry him. It turns out Sushi was about to get into an arranged marriage with Prince Zaboon, the horrible tyrant and total creep of Lean Kingdom. Jack gets to hear how fucked up Zaboon is as a person, and definitely can't allow such a scumbag near Sushi. He promises to handle that shit and consults with the other wives over marrying Sushi. They all agree to it immediately. Jack asks for advice on how to handle the situation in Lean Kingdom. Some of the girls suggest he takes the asshole's life, but he decides to talk to Alfred instead. Alfred tells him that Zaboon the prince is the son of the prime minister, which is why he gets away with his bullshit crime. The king of Lean is just a puppet who listens to everything the prime minister tells him. However, Alfred shares a way out. There's a second prince, Cloud, born to a concubine. Jack asks to meet Cloud immediately. When Cloud arrives, Alfred informs him that Zaboon won't be marrying Sushi as she's already hooked up to Jack. Cloud reveals that he is the second prince, and that his mother is being held prisoner by Prime Minister Wardak. Wardak plans to marry Zaboon to a princess and make him the new ruler of Lean. Alfred calls other leaders for a meeting to decide whether to support Cloud. After much deliberation, they all agree to help Cloud take take over his damn kingdom. Jack teleports himself, Cloud, Mia, and Lily to Lean instantly, concealing himself while the ladies are invisible. They follow Cloud to the palace to meet his brother Zaboon. Zaboon gets pissed off when he learns Sushi is betrothed to Jack. He instructs Cloud to spread rumors about Jack and Brunhild to trash his reputation. Jack and the ladies, resentful as hell of Zaboon, are about to attack when his mother calls him out. After they leave, Jack takes Cloud to a hidden storage room to heal him. Jack frees Zaboon's slave and hides her, causing Zaboon to lose his shit. They overhear Wardak and his sons planning to use Cloud to wage war on nearby nations. Jack plans to infiltrate the palace later on. By nightfall, Jack teleports himself, the girls, and Cloud to the tower where his mother is being kept. After a tearful reunion with her, Jack takes them back to Belfast with him. Marquis Coupe, the real Prime Minister of Lean, is the next person they meet. They plan to capture the Prime Minister quietly and strip that bastard Zaboon of his right to the throne. Jack cooks up a plan and gets right to it the next day. Jack makes himself invisible again and slips into the Lean palace. Wardak doesn't take the news of Cloud's mother's disappearance lightly. He orders his guards to keep searching through the palace to find them. Jack manages to get into the same room as Wardak and the king's wife. While invisible, he takes out his phone and records their plan to overthrow the king and eliminate his bloodline, making Zaboon the king. After gathering evidence, Jack shows it to his girls, Marquis, and the king of Lean himself. The king calls a meeting with his officials to announce his successor to the throne. Wardak and the king's wife are present to hear the damn news, just like contestants on a reality show waiting to get voted off. However, the king totally surprises them by appointing Cloud as the next king of goddamn Lean. Zab and Wardak, and the king's wife bitches about his decision. The king calls Jack to the stage to present his damn evidence. Jack plays the recording in front of everyone, exposing their bullshit treason. As punishment, the king sentences them to the death penalty and leaves the matter in the hands of the new King Cloud. Wardak and his people are sold off as slaves to a slave master, just like prisoners in the American justice system. Jack returns home to meet his new wife Sashi. At first, he fails to recognize her as his wife, but Sashi's cuteness wins him over, and he accepts her as his new damn wife. In the first scene, Jack and his ladies attend Lion and Alma's marriage ceremony. Their parents thank Jack for bringing their families together and making them one happy-ass family. Jack accepts their thanks and continues shooting the shit with his wives. Sashi and Yumina ask Jack when he plans on hosting their wedding ceremonies. Jack keeps quiet and tells them he'll think about it when they get back to the mansion. Yumina suggests the ladies get to know each other more to build up their love and strengthen their intimacy. Jack objects, saying he already has a shitload on his plate, but the girls complain of feeling lonely when he's not around. To make it up to them, Jack decides to take them all out to have a blast. The girls quickly dress up and look damn beautiful and cute in front of him. Jack compliments their hot ass attire and takes them to the kingdom of Refreeze, just like a sugar daddy in Manhattan. They blow some cash on presents and eat at a restaurant. Later, they see posters about Real's next release and fantasize about what the book could entail. However, they get mugged by some hungry ass crooks. The ladies kick ass and take care of the crooks, and they continue their journey. By evening, Jack admits he enjoys spending time with all his wives, so they pull him to their next destination. On their way, they encounter Sashi, who they seem to have totally forgotten about. She throws a tantrum and makes Jack promise to take her along on their next date. The next day, Sashi gets to go out with Jack. After a whole day of having a ball, the duo sits down on a lawn somewhere around Brunhild. Sashi reminds her future husband about all the badass things he's been able to achieve in such a short time, just like an overachiever from Silicon Valley. Jack feels pretty damn good about himself as he thinks about his achievements. Soon he receives a transmission from Flora telling him she's already finished extracting the ether liquid from the stones. In a few moments, Jack gets to the frame gear with his ladies, and Mia rides it for the first time. Jack is next in line, but Luna beats his ass to it. In the next scene, Jack then goes to the Babylon workshop to get his new weapon, a sword made entirely out of badass free material. He digs his new sword and asks Rosetta if they could mass produce them. Rosetta tells him they could, but they would need to stock up on Aurak Calcum. Jack returns to Brunhild and thinks of a way to get more damn Aurak Calcum. Jack tells them about his search for Aurak Calcum, and they suggest he search for Aurak Calcum golems and kick their ass for their material. Jack takes out his phone and pings the location of the Aurak Calcum golems. He then uses fly to levitate himself to the sky and fly towards one of the locations. On getting there, he finds a town already totally fucked up by Freys, and the soldiers seem to be having trouble destroying them. Jack uses his new sword to finish off all the Freys in the town. When he's done, he heals all the wounded people and gifts Salacia, the first princess, a badass phase sword. Salacia recognizes Jack from the news of his travels and pays her respects, just like a fangirl meeting her idol. Jack continues his search for the Orichalcum golem and finds it in the woods. He takes it down and sends it to the workshop before continuing his journey. On his way, Jack finds a deer and follows it to a riverbank. There he discovers a girl who is half dead and tries to heal her. Unfortunately, she is too weak to get up, having lost too much damn blood. Jack takes her to the alchemy lab in the floating garden. Just one day later, Monica works her magic and heals up the wounded pink-haired girl. However, she informs Jack that the lady may have lost her memories due to the fucked up injuries she incurred. Jack asks if it's an after effect of the treatment from the medicine she was administered. Monica teases him a little before taking him to see the patient, just like a nurse with attitude. Upon reaching her room, Jack asks the girl for her name. However, since she couldn't remember jack shit from her previous life, she has no name. Jack names her Sakura and takes her to his mansion after she's discharged. At the mansion, Jack meets with Lily to talk about their new visitor. He tells them that Sakura would be staying in the guest room in the mansion. Currently, she's outside for a damn stroll. The girls complain about her seeming too carefree for someone who just lost her memory. However, Jack tells them that since she remembers nothing, she literally has nothing to be bummed about. The girls excuse themselves, and Jack joins Sakura outside in the garden where he finds her singing with her amazing ass voice. Jack gets really surprised and compliments her song and voice. Jack gets an idea and takes Sakura to the music room where he plays the piano while she sings her song. All the girls hear the sweet voice and soon appear in the music room to hear Sakura and Jack sing. Everyone has a hell of a good time as Jack adds some finesse to his style, making everyone enjoy it. After the performance, Jack visits the Adventurers Guild for a new damn job. The attendant there asks Jack to help them defeat a strong monster called the Cadus. Jack asks for more information, and the attendant tells him that the monsters have the power to turn people to stone with their eyes. So far, about 13 of the adventurers who went to hunt the beast have been turned to stone, just like victims in a horror movie. Jack also finds out that they currently reside in the Militia Mountains. Finally, he asks about the reward for taking down such a monster, and the attendant tells him it's a hefty-ass price. Jack decides to do it for the cold hard cash, and asks his wives whether or not they'll be down to help him. His wives discuss the specifics of the mission and then agree to help him. Jack takes his wives to the alchemy ward, and grants them new swords to make it easier to kick the monster's ass. Once they've all received their swords, they head into the forest to hunt the Kataba monsters. Jack uses his smartphone to search for the monster, and after walking a few meters, they find a Kataba monster chowing down on grass. When the monster notices them, Jack and his wives jump into action. They try their magic attacks on the monster, but it pukes out poisonous smoke that almost affects Lily. Jack saves one of his wives, and then gets serious as hell. He takes out his sword and slices off the monster's head. When he's done, his body begins to turn to stone, but he uses his power to remove the stones from his leg and changes his shoes. A few minutes later, Linda's skirt and lower body get petrified, so the girls quickly rush in to help her. While they think of what to do about Linda, another Cabula monster arrives and petrifies Jack's legs. He removes the stones from his leg and takes down the second monster. His wives thank him for the help, and they all head back to the Adventurers Guild. They also carry the other 13 adventurers, and Jack frees them. After getting their damn reward, Jack and the other kings test out a new batch of frame gears, just like tech bras testing new gadgets. And after the tests, the kings of the surrounding kingdoms chill out with Jack. Meanwhile, Hilda, the princess of Lesha, and her grandpa discuss the badass new sword that Jack and his people were processing. Hilda contemplates visiting Brunhild to see Jack and talk business with him. Agreeing to follow her, Grandpa spends some of her afternoon leisure time in the workshop garden, supervising the creation of more frame gears. Suddenly, Jack receives a message that someone claiming to be his older sister is at his mansion and requesting his presence. He rushes to his mansion and finds himself in a meeting between his wives and the goddess of love. Soon after introducing herself, Jack's wives give them the room to catch up on old times. The goddess tells Jack she came down from heaven to feed on the enormous amount of love Jack was getting from the girls and everyone around him. Jack gets tired of her yapping and allows her to stay with him. Just then, one of his maids announces the arrival of someone from the Lesha kingdom. Jack asks them to wait a bit before he attends to them. However, the maid tells him they are currently at the knights' training ground, checking out the training knights. Jack gets over there and finds Princess Hilda and her grandpa waiting for him. Her grandpa extends his greetings and hopes to do some sightseeing in Brunhild, just like a tourist in Times Square. Jack welcomes him to his kingdom and hopes he has a damn good time. However, the grandpa seems more interested in the main shit and even touches it. Hilda apologizes for her grandpa's bullshit behavior, and then they continue talking. The grandpa asks about the frame gears, and Jack takes him to the training field to demonstrate the gears in real time. Hilda and her grandpa are both blown away to see the sheer strength of the robots. The grandpa asks Jack what he plans on doing with the frame gears, and Jack tells him he's stocking up on soldiers to fight the phrase monsters that may attack the lands in the near-ass future. The grandpa asks if he could let Luci use the robots when the need arises, and Jack tells him it's no fucking problem. Next, Hilda asks Jack to allow her to fight the strongest person in his country. Jack pits her against his strongest wife, and they get to duke it out in the arena. After some minutes of serious ass fighting, Hilda defeats her in a friendly spar. After the fight, she finds out she was one of Jack's many wives, and she gets very flustered as she herself had plans to confess her feelings to Jack. Mia suspects history is about to repeat itself, and she and the Goddess of Love team up to help Hilda confess her feelings to Jack. So out of nowhere, Hilda becomes the 7th wife of Jack. Hilda is more than happy to join the crew of wives Jack was collecting, with Jack getting confused as usual, just like a guy on a reality dating show. However, her grandpa steps in and refuses to release his granddaughter without a fight. He challenges Hilda to a fight, and if she wins, she gets to wed Jack. Before the fight, the other wives welcome Hilda to the crew and appreciate the connection her kingdom would bring to Brunhild. The Goddess of Love quickly steps in and asks Hilda to tell her how she fell in love with Jack. Hilda spills the tea and tells everyone about the first time Jack saved her from the monsters plaguing her land. At the time, she said she was so blown away by his coolness and strength that she fell in love with him at first sight, just like a girl falling for a superhero. The girls all cheer for the lovely story, but the goddess just keeps on feeding off the love in the atmosphere and enriches her skin. The girls then remind Hilda about her match with her grandpa and tell her to win at all damn costs so she can join them. A few minutes later, Hilda fights her grandpa. In the first half of the fight, the grandpa takes the win. However, Jack plays dirty as hell and conjures up a distraction, allowing Hilda to overpower her grandpa and win the fight in one badass swoop. The grandpa admits defeat and gives Hilda and Jack his blessing, making them promise to protect themselves till the end. After the fight, Hilda bows down in respect to the new life she's about to enter. They talk about Jack's parents, wondering who they all are. The goddess steps in and tells them not to pressure Jack too much. He'll tell them about his family when he feels damn ready. In the meantime, she tells about Jack's first love as a boy. The girls all blush with joy after hearing the goddess's story. Meanwhile, Jack gets sick as hell from the flu, and while he's with Sakura, he gets a report of an abandoned ruin of one of his floating gardens found around Lesha, Hilda's kingdom. While Jack wonders what to do, all 7 of his wives show up wearing outfits similar to what his first love, Sister Shoko, was wearing. Jack finds out that the Goddess of Love ratted him out and gets very pissed off at her. The girls ask for his comment on their dressing, and Jack tells them they all look damn good in the outfits. As for the goddess, he reserves his punishment for her until later, just like a guy planning revenge. Shortly afterward, Jack visits the abandoned ruins in Lesha on his own this time. When he gets there, he finds out that the ruins house Babylon's tower and the rampart. Later, the Guardian appears and explains things to Jack, telling him that only someone who's compatible can gain control over the tower. Seeing as Jack appears to have all the affinities, she grants him command over the tower without any damn hesitation. Then she leads him to the administrator of the tower, another lady who was busy sleeping her ass off by a bush. Jack asks Lyra to wake Lady Pamela up, but she doesn't budge. Lyra borrows a hot kebab and uses it to draw Pamela out of her slumber. Pamela wakes up, scarfs down the food, and demands more food and some shelter before she can truly become Jack's servant, just like a diva making demands. Jack tells her that's no damn problem, so she proceeds to complete the registration process by planting a fucking kiss on her master's mouth. After the registration is complete, she asks for more food, and Jack gives it to her. Then she continues her shit and gives Jack over to Lyra, who also kisses him to complete the registration. Once the registration is complete, Lyra transfers ownership of the rampart to Jack. When they're done with the transfer of ownership, Lyra and Pamela show Jack the reactor that converts air and water energy into magic energy. Pamela falls asleep as usual and leaves the damn tour to Lyra. When they're done, Jack teleports his wives to the rampart for some fucking sightseeing. Lyra recounts all of Jack's wives and finds out Sue is missing. Just then, his beast requests a gate to deliver an urgent message to Jack. Jack lets him into the room and finds out that the Queen of Belfast had already been put to bed. Jack quickly opens a gate to the palace and finds the king going crazy with joy over his bouncing baby boy. He asks Jack to give that baby a name, and Jack names it Yamato. The king digs the name and raises the baby up high in the sky. The baby begins to cry, and the king rushes back to return the baby to his mother, just like any new dad freaking out. That evening, the girls get a day off off on vacation. They gather around the bathhouse to chill out and talk about the upcoming celebration for the new heir to the kingdom of Belfast. While they discuss, they wonder how their own children would look like eventually. Right outside the bathhouse, Jack hears from his administrators that his destiny is to have up to 9 wives. Jack gets very damn flustered as he's already having trouble keeping 7 women happy, and even his servants begin to contemplate getting married to him. Jack is totally fucking stupefied. Later on, the girls dress up and line up in front of Jack, asking him to tell them what he was discussing with his servants, just like wives interrogating their husband. Jack tries his best to stop Lyra from spilling the beans about him having 9 wives, but they all push him away, and they hear the entire damn thing from Lyra. After finding out their husband may have more wives, they get very surprised. Linda asks her husband to get them back to the mansion so they can discuss his punishment properly. At the mansion, the girls have a little discussion and decide to let him off the hook. However, for trying to keep things from them, they sentence him to give them a kiss on the lips as payback. Jack gets very shocked and tells them to finish preparation for the prince's naming ceremony. After that, he'll kiss them all. The girls agree with him, so they continue the preparation. Later that night, Jack and the others enjoy the fireworks and serve regular-ass food to celebrate the prince's birth. Jack feels very grateful for everything he has and begins kissing the girls. Sashi, Lou, and the others take it pretty well. However, Hilda faints from the awkwardness, and Mia, along with Luna, each punch Jack's ass to the sky. Once he's done kissing all his brides, they then get to see the last of the fireworks and enjoy their night. They find Lyra with an orb that could see the future and ask her to see their master's future, just like fortune tellers in New Orleans. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more. Peace out.